Welcome to the podcast about venture capital, where investors and founders alike can learn how VCs make decisions and reach conviction. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome to another special release of Investor Stories. On this installment, the experts discuss a startup that they did not invest in, why they passed, and if there was a key learning that now informs their approach. Here's the segment called Why I Passed. On today's special segment, we have Ryan Gembala of Pathbreaker. Ryan, can you tell us a story about a good or a bad pass? A story about a startup that you passed on?
Oh man, we haven't been around long enough as a fund to have the past turn into like the IPO that we missed.
Yeah, right.
So, Pathbreaker's been investing since 2016. When I came out here to work in venture in 2010, I met Uber really early on. I was just learning venture, and I still have one of the first gift cards Uber ever gave out. But they were, we were focused on A and B, and they were sort of at the seed stage at the time. So, wasn't a quote unquote fit per the stage. Yikes. So, yikes.
Well, we missed out on Cruise. I think
now in the Pathbreaker model to be able to do, seed, pre-seed, post-seed, Series A, we're open. That was on me of, not thinking it was a stage fit.
On today's special segment, we have James Currier of NFX. James, can you tell us a story about a good or a bad pass? A story about a startup that you passed on?
One interesting story would be this company that was a good and bad pass. It was a company called Shyp, SHYP. And I was introduced to this by a VC friend of mine. I declined to invest in it. It raised $50 million the next year, and I felt like a doofus. I felt like I'd made a mistake. It was sort of in my regrets column. And then in the end, the reason I didn't invest was the reason that it didn't work. So I felt but I didn't feel as if I was super smart because I'd spent the intervening years feeling like I had not been smart. And then in the end, it didn't work anyway. So it was good that I didn't spend my money and get nothing from it. But, it goes, in my mind, this is something I think about in terms of you don't know when these things are so early. And you have to be, as an early stage investor, willing to take a lot of bets to get the big outcomes. And when someone tells you that their company is killing it and you should have invested, you say, hey, could be. It's never over until it's over. Until the returns are fully out. It's always hard to know. So that's that's a story that I talk to myself about as I look at deals today. Like, will this go and raise $50 million in the next year? Probably will. Will it work long term? That's a different question, right? Some of these deals get hot and everybody rushes in.
Can you talk about what that reason was that it failed?
It had something to do with the return economics. It's just the frequency, and then the AOV wasn't going to.
On today's special segment, we have Lolita Taub and Jesse Middleton of the Community Fund. Lolita or Jesse, can you tell us a story about a good or a bad pass? A story about a startup that you passed on?
Yeah, I'll give you one, and I'll tell you this because I know the founders. And I know them well, and we passed as a firm, and it's a company it's still called Keeps, but they built sort of a holding company called 30 Madison, and it's in the same realm as Roman or Hims or Hers. It's about, getting support and health issues directly to you, a direct-to-consumer brand. They started in the hair loss space. We passed on this company, and one of the reasons primary reason we wound up passing on investing is that there was a belief internally that you couldn't build a strong community around a topic that was maybe less than fun to talk about, which would be like men's hair loss. If you're balding, you generally don't post this to Facebook or to Twitter or anywhere. In fact, you probably use Facetune to make it look like you're not balding. And so the idea that this company could create this flywheel where people would sort of engage and become a part of this experience just wasn't quite there. The company has gone on to raise tens of millions of dollars to launch a few different brands. They're doing very well as far as I know. And the miss, I think, for me, and a lesson that I took from it, and it's something we talk about at Flybridge when we look at deals, is I truly believe that 99 out of 100 ideas would benefit from a well-designed community, either as part of the acquisition side or the support side of the business. I actually don't think that there are sort of off-limit topics for communities. I think there are different ways you design the community. And so we talk about this as the community fund. We have our own investors are on a Slack channel sharing every deal. Those couple hundred deals, we've seen every deal, every deck. We can't be totally open. Founders would not appreciate if we took every deck they shared with us and put it on the internet. That would not lead us to getting very good deal flow. However, we can choose to take parts of it, lessons learned, moments in time, and share those more broadly. And I think the same thing would be said about a topic like hair loss. There's a way to design a product that makes you feel safer, comfortable, more easily able to talk about it. And there's things like pseudo-anonymity, there's small groups, we won't get into all the mechanics, but I think the miss for me was not recognizing that you could design a community around a topic that felt uncomfortable to sort of coalesce around.
On today's special segment, we have Ramy Adeeb of 1984. Ramy, can you tell us about a good or a bad pass? A story about a startup that you passed on.
Can I tell you the worst pass of my life?
Yes, please.
WhatsApp.
You did not.
I know. It was a little complicated. Look, it was
revisionist history now.
It was 2009, 2010. I was working at Coastline. I was in Spain, and I saw everyone using WhatsApp. And I came back to the US thinking that it's a Spanish company. And I found a support alias and emailed the founder and said, like, hey, I saw this product. I'm going to be back in Spain in a couple of months for Mobile World Congress. Could I meet with you? And I get an email back from Yanku saying, oh, yeah, I'm in Mountain View. You guys can come visit us. We're 2 miles away from your office. I'm like, oh my God, it's an American company. I go and see them. And it's insane. I'd never seen anything like it. It's about 12 or 13 engineers, small office in Mountain View. They're all working really hard. There is basically dark bags under their eyes. And I meet with Jan and I'm like, Jan, what is your numbers? And he's like, do you have a deck? And he's like, I don't have a deck. Look, do you have numbers? He's like, I don't know. We're growing so fast. I'm not sure. Like, I think I didn't know. Like, I'm like, but what is it like month over month? And he's like, I don't know. Maybe 100%, maybe, I don't know, 200%, not sure. Literally, like, these were the answers.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, how, can you put together a deck? He's like, no, we're not. I don't have time. Look, we're getting paid at $1.99 in Android right now. And I might want to raise some money. So we stopped charging on Android. And then I asked him, okay, so like, what can we do? And he said, look, if you guys are willing to give us 10 and 100 with no board seat, we will take it. That's it. 10 and 100, no board seat, nothing.
Wow.
So I go back to the partnership and everybody in the partnership is like, yeah, we don't do that. And
no
look,
deck, no numbers, no nothing. 10 and 100.
And I was a prince. I was like the most junior person in this team of 5 incredible visionaries and luminaries. And none of them had used the app, right? I had used the app a little bit. But honestly, it was hard for me to push it. I mean, I didn't have enough conviction myself. Like 10 and 100 was no board seat is nuts. And so we didn't end up invest. Frankly, I didn't advocate for it very hard because I too was like, yeah, that sounds bananas. And a year and a half, I think 2 years later, it was acquired for $16 billion. So that would have been that $10 million would have returned a nice $2 billion.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how early you were in your career, but I think back to early in my venture career, and my level of conviction was, I mean, I just had so much self-doubt about everything.
Yeah, and that's why Benchmark does not hire junior folks. I've spoken a lot about this with Bill Gargano and Andy Ratcliffe, and Bill would say, we don't hire junior staff because the handoff is poor, right? The handoff is the problem. The junior guys will see interesting things, but they don't have enough conviction to push hard or not push hard. And ultimately, they have those superiors they're trying to please. And that's why at Benchmark, it's just partners, right? And I understand that model. And it's one that we try to replicate here as well.
That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.